towards making things better, more transparent, and cohesive in our presbytery. Guide our thoughts and actions to bring you glory. Strengthen us and fill us with your peace. Amen.
Thank you.
I believe the Gap presbyter is going to take the floor, correct? Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No, I will.
Stated clerk.
Sorry. Yep, stated clerk, yes.
Thank you, Reverend Rivera.
No
Good
problem.
evening, members of New York City Presbytery. As you will recall, for those that were in attendance on the March meeting, the Presbytery had a substitute motion to the proposed restructuring that was presented motion. The proposal was to have a call meeting to consider further recommendations that would be submitted by the various committees and commissions of the Presbytery on or before May 3rd. We did receive those. And so you did receive them in the original notice for this meeting. This will be in a town hall format. There will be no votes taken. We would ask that everyone realize that this meeting will also be recorded, at least the portion of it in which there is open discussion regarding the restructuring. When you go into the breakout rooms, that will not be recorded. And so each breakout room will have a facilitator and a recorder so that that information will be reported back out to the body as a whole. Tonight, when you are in open discussion, we ask that you identify yourself, what church you are a member of, and please raise your electronic hand on Zoom. It will be almost impossible for us to find you if you're just raising your physical hand. Your electronic hand will help us see who is asking to be recognized during this town hall meeting. For those who were looking for the information regarding the questionnaires that you filled out, those questions, that information will come to you at a later time period. We had well over 100 plus persons that participated in that, and the collation of that data was not able to be complete by this meeting time. And so we will get that information to you. This will not be the only opportunity for discussion about the restructuring plan. We have a call meeting scheduled for June 4th, 2024, and I would suspect that there will be additional times and dates for further discussion of this restructuring process. There is a revised docket, and I want to now state what that docket is. At 6:10, there will be an overview of the restructuring by the Reverend Mary Newbern Williams, our transitional presbyter. And then from 6:25, we will have some open 6:25 to 7 o'clock. We will have open discussion regarding restructuring in general, and that will be facilitated by the Reverend Daniel Rivera. At 7 o'clock, you will be placed into breakout rooms, and you will be in those breakout rooms from 7 to 7:30, and then we will come back about 7:30, and we will hear a report from the breakout rooms, as many as we can, and then we hope to finish by 7:55 with a closing prayer. Mr. Moderator, that is all the information that I have for the general town hall meeting tonight. Again, please identify yourself, church, whether you're elder, deacon, trustee, member of a particular church, and use your electronic hand so that we might be able to recognize you during the town hall meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Elder Warren McNeil. Later on, when we go to the open discussion, we have a little bit of more instruction and little housekeeping announcements so we can organize ourselves. In the meantime, without further ado, let's hear from the Reverend Newbern Williams. And I'd like to say before that the moderator has been excused from moderating this meeting, and therefore we wish her tonight that she enjoys herself and whatever she has to do. And happy birthday to her. It was her birthday this week, so want to make sure that we mention that. The Gap Presbyter, Reverend Mary Newbern Williams, please.
Thank you.
The floor is
Thank
yours.
you, Mr. Moderator-elect. Blessings to each and every one of you. Godspeed. It is a joy to see so many participants this evening. We are showing 106 thus far, and that is just reason for excitement and reason for celebration that you all have taken a wonderful interest in the presbytery, in what we wish, do, pray for, and will work together to achieve and accomplish. My friends, I am your transitional presbyter, Reverend Mary Newbern Williams. I have been with this presbytery now a little over a year and a half. It will be 2 years in September. I began my time with you for the first 7 months as your Gap presbyter, and I am your transitional presbyter at this point. And the term transition is very important. It's operational. It means that in any organization, institution, presbytery, synod, even our GA has done restructuring. Congregations, there are needs for change and adjustment to changing times in all of those circumstances. My friends, change, transition requires assessment, refocusing, a coming together and looking very clearly and with a great reality on where we have been, where we are right now, and what our vision is as we move forward. For future effectiveness, we must reassess, reevaluate, reorganize. There are many, many writings, books, and seminars, webinars on transition and change, what it does, the necessity of it, and how it operates. My friends, we are no different as New York City Presbytery. We are at a very pivotal point in our existence at this time in our life and work as a presbytery. We are in between presbytery executives. We have changing demographics. We have changing methods, strategies, and approaches to worship, community outreach, evangelism and work, Christian education, and the changing makeup of so many of our congregations. Transition takes place all around us, and God continues to commission us to look at ourselves, to assess, prayerfully look at how God is calling us at this time. And transition takes courage, honesty, forthrightness, prayerful discernment as we continually assess, pray about, look at how God is calling us to move forward in our presbytery. My friends, vision is essential. You have heard me mention it several times. You will hear it even more because it is important that we envision together how we move forward as God's people. I look forward at this time to continuing to work with each of you to come in.
He needs to have.
We will plan more town hall meetings and gatherings so that we can continue to share, to have our voices heard by one another, and to look very carefully, realistically, prayerfully, lovingly at how we move forward as a presbytery. Our key is unity, vision, love, and understanding. My friends, I am going to yield this time to the Reverend Molly Castile of In Belonging. The Reverend Molly Castile and her staff of consultants conducted several listening sessions and completed a final report, which was in one part of your packet. She is here this evening to share with us, to answer any questions you may have, and then we will turn this meeting back over to our moderator-elect for open discussion. Reverend Molly, it is a joy to have you with us once again. We love you, respect you, and are grateful for all that you have done for this presbytery with the listening sessions, the report, and your continuing interest in who we are as a presbytery. And I am grateful to God that you are also my friend.
Thank you. The Reverend Dr. Newbern Williams, it is a joy to work with you, and it is a joy to be once again with the Presbytery of New York City. We in Belonging and the consultant team finished our work about a year ago with the listening sessions and completed the report and delivered that in August. You see the executive, the large summary of that full report, I believe on page 13 of your packet. And you will be able to see through a variety of pages there an evaluation of the participation in the listening session processes that were extended for several months in an effort to be as widely inclusive as possible. There were 14 listening sessions across about 5 months, 4.5 months of time. We did all of those via Zoom virtually with multiple facilitators, transcripts, etc. Originally, the design was that each group identified by the presbytery would engage the listening sessions in those groups. That design worked for a few groups, but the response rate was not as sufficient for that design to continue. So you will see that many of the listening sessions were a collaboration of several groups, with every effort made that groups could be with folks who identified into the listening sessions could be with folks who were of similar approach to the presbytery. Anyway, those we collated all of those remarkable responses. Folks were passionate, folks were engaged, folks spoke deeply and a lot. And so you can see in that report many quotes. It's a nice snapshot of who the presbytery was in 2023 in this entering into your transitional time. And I would recommend a reading to every one of you to hear from those courageous folks who offered their voices in that process. But also, I am here to answer any questions you might have about the listening session process and that got you to this report.
Floor is open for questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Molly Castile? What's your title? I'm sorry. Molly.
Yeah, I'm the lead. I'm the lead consultant on your on your
Any
project.
question for Molly Castile or the Transition Presbytery about what we have been said so far? Anyone?
Mr. Moderator-elect, I see a hand raised from, in this order, Elder Cecilia Bluer, Reverend Jeffrey Corder, and Reverend Eric Thomas, in that order.
All right, let's begin, please. Thank you.
Elder Bluer.
Okay. Could you tell us how many people had indicated that they wished to participate in a listening session and then did not get impaneled? And also, how many people were in a listening session and were not notified about the subsequent discussion?
Okay. I can speak to how many people indicated interest. We had 124 who indicated some interest in a listening session. 85 completed, well, more than that completed the both. So the process to indicate interest was 2 steps. We had just over 100 folks who completed both steps, and then only 85 managed to find a scheduled session that worked in their availability. Because again, that listening session period expanded past several months. Several folks were traveling internationally or were not able to make the sessions that they were scheduled for. The second part of your question, I need some more clarification on. So you asked how many people were not notified about the session that they did participate in. Help me with question number 2.
There was sort of a discussion quite a bit after the listening session. Then there was sort of a report. It was a video Zoom thing about what had been found. And
the open, what did we call that? Reverend Dr. Mary, I think it was called a talk back session. We had a 2-hour session where folks who could come and discuss the report at length.
That's correct.
Yes.
That is correct.
I do not know how folks identified into that session, but the presbytery could certainly answer those questions.
If I may, Mr. Moderator-elect, I can answer that question. That invitation for the talkback open discussion with respect to the listening session's results was sent to the full presbytery. Anyone who we have in our database was sent that invitation to participate in that discussion, as was tonight's discussion.
Is that one question?
We encouraged congregations to invite members in their congregations who may not be in our database, because I don't have necessarily, we don't have members who sit in the congregation's contact information, but we have members who have served on committees. We have the clerks of sessions of each congregations, as well as moderators. And we encourage moderators and clerks of sessions to invite individuals in the pews, if you will, to participate.
That is correct.
That's true. Correct. I remember those information. Thank you for the clarity that you have made. If there is no further question on what we have said so far, I'd like to take the next question.
We have Reverend Jeffrey Corder.
All right.
Hi, Molly. Good to see you again. I remember that the biggest problem identified was communication. I can understand this. I have email lists, many of them. I have multiple emails, we send emails out to our congregation. I'm with First Pres Forest Hills, by the way. I forgot to mention that. And not everybody opens their emails. Not everybody uses Facebook. I rarely use it. You know, people don't use Twitter. People don't use Instagram. There's a whole lot of ways to communicate. And so, was there any discussion about platforms? I mean, there are churches using apps, you know, let's use an app. There are businesses using Slack. I mean, there are ways that people communicate that says everybody has to use this. Was there any discussion of that? And if so, was, you know, any light from that? Thank you.
Sure, it's good to see you. Yes, you are right. And you can see this on page 11 of the report that's in your packet. And it's at page 25 of said packet for these are responses to a question of what needs to be named from the past in order to move into the future. And you are right, the lack of communication and information was identified as number one. It was the most frequently named issue in the listening sessions. The listening sessions are just that. And so lots of folks had different ideas about specific solutions for the communications problem. And those answers were shared with the presbytery where folks shared specific responses. But these listening sessions were intended for discerning where the presbytery understood itself to be and what issues of concern and what areas of interest for energy and attention moving forward. And so offering specific technologies that might bridge the issues, the ideas, the concerns that were raised was not part of the listening session process.
Fair. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's have the next question, please.
That would be Reverend Dr. Eric Thomas, followed by Reverend Miriam Shelton.
Good evening, Reverend Molly. So good to see you. I know that we are supposed to have read that very carefully prepared report that has been shared both in preparation for this meeting and also has been shared about a year ago. So while people have a chance to catch up with reading the actual report, can you give us some highlights? I know that there is an extent to which the Presbytery of New York City considers itself a very unique kind of organism. And in what ways are those true? And in what ways are you seeing kind of changes and shifts in the denomination being similar to the findings of the report?
Big question. Thank you, Reverend Dr. Thomas. There are, you are correct. You are not unique in facing a challenge of resources, capacity, and structure, and determining that this new, what is currently real for the presbytery of this moment needs to not necessarily carry on every structure and every way of organizing itself that has been. That past structure, if I remember correctly, in our talkback session, your stated clerk highlighted he called it the faithful 150. That the structure of the presbytery in 2023 required at least 150 persons to discern a call to serve in the presbytery to allow it to do its daily work. That was the minimum number of engaged humans required. And there was some conversation about the fact that the listening sessions received 85 courageous folks who would offer their perspectives into the process. So you all have had a challenge around trust and around the pattern of, from time to time, expending money to do some study and then not necessarily following up that study with specific actions to remedy what has been offered in the study or in the feedback. And that was a major theme in the listening sessions of folks expressing fatigue, frustration, concern of what would happen with the offerings. Would this time we were listened to matter? There were folks who were in a variety of experience levels with the presbytery, so folks who were pretty congregational in their experience, and so entered in a different way than folks who had been very active with the presbytery for a really long time. Histories, a real major theme is the experiences of folks of racism within the dynamic of the presbytery, both by the structures, but also in engagement, as they navigate the ways and means of being the community together. Folks were giving specific examples of their experiences and their concerns about whether they had been adequately addressed, whether they had ever been responded to with any apologies or repair or that kind of thing. There were many stories of folks who felt disenfranchised from the presbytery because of specific actions. You can see those themes in the report in a lot of different ways. Even as close to, so I would say one of the good things in the report is that folks were overwhelmingly positive about the future of the presbytery. While the past was disputed, the future felt way more positive in its terms. You can find that on page 22 of your packet or page 8 of the report. I also would, so the big highlights: lack of communication, dealing with property is a major concern in the presbytery. That no one here should be surprised about that. Lack of trust was named over and over and over again. That is not unusual across Presbyterian land. So I want to, while that might raise blood pressure, it is a challenge to be church together in almost every incarnation. Where you talked about how the Presbytery of New York City compares or relates to kind of the rest nationally. Often members in listening sessions said, we are the largest presbytery in the USA. That is in fact not true. It may have been true at one point, but the Presbytery of New York City is not in the top 10. It is not in the top 15. It used to be the largest presbytery within the Synod of the Northeast. It is now number 4. Now, what I will say, and which is in the report in detail, is that there is only one presbytery in the United States that has a lower percentage of white people than the Presbytery of New York City, and it is 3 times the smaller than you. So you are, in fact, the largest presbytery in the Presbyterian Church USA with the smallest number of white people as a percentage of your membership. Now, the varieties of ways people identify racially in order for that is a unique kind of combination. But there are just slightly more than 50% white people in the Presbytery of New York City. And so you are at the beginning of this demographic shift will likely occur across the country in many presbyteries. But unlike other presbyteries, you are there now. And so your experiences of attempting or failing or finding new ways to work effectively interculturally across all of those challenging different identities and ways of worldviews and ways of approaching this thing called church together. You are in that moment now where many of your sisters and brothers and other siblings in Christ are not fully at that kind of critical point, because so many more white people are present in those presbyteries. And so the forced conversation of how well we be together going forward has not yet happened in as many presbyteries. Is that helpful?
It is. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope we all listen to that explanation and the information, because that's a great question. So I am sure that a lot of folks that are listening, the questions have been answered, hopefully. If not, just ask the question and then we can continue with the Reverend Miriam Shelton, correct?
That is correct. Followed by Elder Jim Nedelka.
I hope my comments or questions are appropriate for this moment and the process. I'm not exactly sure because the outline of today isn't clear, but looking at the items that were listed most frequently in the listening sessions, and I see the top 5 are communication, property issues, trust issues, support, I'm not quite sure what that is, and inequity between large and small churches. And then looking at the list that you made of structural issues, one is racism, dominance in the process, and 3 is arrogance. I have to admit that at this point so far, I feel totally confused about how the topic of today of discussing structural changes is going to address any of those 8 things, which are the dominant things from the listening session. So I'm going to say I have a real issue of trust right now, because I feel like talking about the listening session sounds really nice, and you have data and blah, blah, blah. But then we're going to turn the page and talk about changes, and that what you're telling us, it just doesn't seem to be related one thing with another. So maybe maybe we're going to talk about this later. I don't know. I'm a bit confused about how what we found from the listening session is going to relate to proposed structural changes. And let me add one other thing. I'm from the Justice Ministries Committee, and the hint that we got at the last Presbytery meeting was that this committee would no longer exist, or the Basic Education Committee, whatever it's called these days. And those issues are not addressed in any of the top concerns. So how come committees that are, if anything, helping communication and helping dominance and power and arrogance, how come we're the committees that are being proposed to be eliminated? I feel that somehow the talk and the proposals aren't going to match up.
If I might just briefly say one thing, Miriam, there was no intent to suggest that the Justice Ministries Committee would be eliminated or would no longer exist. There has been thought about perhaps some committees looking at how they are functioning, if they might do well to be combined with another. We have not gotten that far just yet, but there is absolutely no intention, never has been, of eliminating the Justice Ministries Committee. There is no intention of doing that at all.
Thank you, Reverend Miriam. Thank you, Reverend Miriam Shelton, for the question and the comments. And perhaps later on in the breakout groups and at the moment of implementation, some of the issues will be dealt with, I'm sure, appropriately. We'll move to Elder Nudelka.
Hi, good evening. I find it interesting. 12 years ago, when we did this with Tony, when he came in, we had 3 town halls, and we talked about where we're going. At the time, the hot button issue was angst within the presbytery and consternation between some people in the presbytery against other people in the presbytery. And the issues like property and what have you were kind of pushed to the side because the tongues of fire coming from various sides of the aisle were at the main battle thing. We seem to have gotten past that, but all the other issues are still hanging fire, like churches, small congregation churches versus bigger congregation churches, the money issue, the clarity of communications. Unfortunately, that's still a hang up for reasons that many of us who are in the communications business don't understand, but we just got to deal with it. So yeah, this is deja vu all over again, but on a different level. And what I really think we need to do is to stop just talking about stuff in the abstract. And if somebody has a solution, a potential solution, put the idea on the table. Whether it's right, whether it's wrong, it's an idea and a starting point, which we can talk about in the breakout groups. And who have many people around the conversation screen, add to the idea, subtract to the idea. Let's build a consensus around at least something on the table. So when we all come back at 7:30, we're not doing this, okay? Because that will just add to the frustrations. And I think we can move past doing this routine every 12 years and see what we get in 36, and so we'll see in the breakout room.
Thank you, Elder Nudelka. Good observations. Next question, please.
We have Reverend Jill Schaefer, followed by Catherine Graybell. Reverend Schaefer.
You're on mute, Jill.
I really appreciate what Miriam Shelton and Jeff and Jim is saying. I'm wondering if in our heads, because I have no suggestion on how to boil down and make a synthesis out of all that's been said now. But maybe in our heads, we could start thinking in terms or feeling in terms of what is outside and what is inside. In the sense that what do we want to see the presbytery do by the structures that will emerge? And how are we feeling about ourselves in making that objective a reality? So I'm taking this from Rose and Isles. The outside inside split, and the inside split is how we feel, and the outside split is what we're going to do. So that's my cornucopia delivery. Maybe it can be helpful. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Schaefer.
Catherine Graybell, can you just identify yourself and your association with the presbytery? Catherine?
She's a member at Broadway Presbyterian Church.
Catherine, you are up next to speak. You have your hand raised.
Who's the next hand?
There is nothing after her, Mr. Moderator-elect, so we can move forward.
Yes. Let's move forward.
Oh, here
perhaps-
she is.
Finally, I got it unmuted. Sorry. I'm the presbyter from Broadway Presbyterian Church. I read the whole thing this afternoon. And I read the thing from 2011 where all of this is what we're going to do was laid out over, I don't know, 10 pages. And my only thought is that there is only so much that we can do. And we should think about saying, okay, let's pick 2, 3, 4 things rather than 20 things to try to accomplish as we move forward. You know, in 2011, it was very clear to me, and I wasn't around in 2011, but from reading the stuff, it seemed very clear to me that the racial issues were hugely important and needed to be dealt with. And yet they don't seem to have been prioritized because they were one of, I don't know how many things that were proposed by the presbytery to do. And if we are going to make a difference in our lives together, I think we have to prioritize 1 to 3 things that we can actually handle rather than the myriad things that everybody wants to do. Not that those myriad things aren't great, but they're not going to happen if we don't prioritize a few small steps. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comments, Catherine. Anyone else?
Mr. Moderator, we have a hand raised from Elder Sharon Davidson. Sharon?
Thank you. Mr. Moderator, I was actually just going to listen because I wanted to see the fireworks. But since the 2011 proposed restructuring was mentioned, I feel obligated to speak. This presbytery needs to be dissolved. I have said that for the last at least 20 years, and I'm a former moderator of the presbytery. The trust will never be reorganized. The lack of trust will never be reorganized. We can't reorganize that. I've listened to the report from the consultant. I read the report from the transitional leader who really doesn't know us. And the fact of the matter is this presbytery needs to be dissolved. We need to be divided among some of the existing presbyteries. The Synod completely reorganized the New Jersey presbyteries. They can do it in New York. The issue of race, yes, it's there. The issue of money is there. But the fact of the matter is the churches with money don't trust the presbytery. The churches of people of color don't trust the presbytery. The small churches don't. No one trusts the presbytery, and yet we are, in fact, the presbytery. So I think the solution to this, once and for all, is dissolve New York City Presbytery.
Mr. Moderator, we now have a hand from Daniel Yang. I'm sorry, is it Reverend or Elder? I'm not certain.
It's Reverend.
Reverend Daniel Yang.
I appreciate the candor and the honest feelings that were shared. I'm a chaplain at a New York City hospital. And I have a difference. I don't believe we should be dissolved. I sometimes feel like, and look, you all know this, I'm an open book. I get very frustrated with our presbytery. I'm often pretty prickly. I guess that's part of the prophetic work. I'm willing to work with people who are earnest and trying their best, even if the ship is wobbling. I think that I looked at the report and I looked at it somewhat superficially, but I looked at some of the data, and sometimes you just have to give praise for people just trying to do their damn best. And I really appreciate it. Being human is hard. We have 300 billion cells within us that are recreating and exploding and dividing. And the fact that we can keep our bodies together in the first place is amazing. Let alone having to haul this big ship. So what I'm trying to say is, yes, is there room for criticism? Absolutely. And trust me, I love being critical. There's something fun about it. And at the same time, like, can we still love the wobbly ship that we're on? Can we still try to patch up the holes? I think we can. I think if we just try to abandon the ship, it's going to cause more problems. So I think what I'm trying to say is, for better or for worse, I'm committed as much as I can be. And I hope that, we can kind of stay huddled together. I'm reminded of something that I think trees can teach us. Did you know that like redwoods stretch up to the sky 350 feet, but their root systems only go about 8 to 10 feet to the ground? So physics-wise, there's no way that a redwood tree can withstand storms and strong winds. But the reason why they're able to is because their root systems actually, they extend 60 to 80 feet out. And the root systems of other redwoods sort of hug and hold each other tight. So I think like as long as we are willing to weather these storms and as long as we're willing to put in the work, we'll be okay. I also think we have to normalize the fact that like sometimes things don't go well for seasons within churches. And maybe this is just a different sort of moment, epoch in church history. And I think overall what I'm trying to say is, yes, there are a lot of growing edges. Yes, we have a lot of issues, but I think as long as hands are on deck, we'll get through. Let's just keep going. And let's critique each other strongly, but also leave space for safe dialogue.
Thank you, Reverend Yang, for your metaphor. I like it.
Yeah, but anyways, that's it. And thank you to the people who made that docket. Really, thank you. It's a lot of work, and you put a lot of your heart and soul into it. So that's it.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Anybody else?
Yes. Mr. Moderator-elect, we have hands raised from CRE Charmaine Messiah and Elder Justina Serlin, in that order.
Okay. Messiah, please.
Hello, Presbytery, Charmaine Messiah, CRE at Bedford Central Presbyterian Church in Brooklyn. I would like to offer a suggestion as to reorganizing. I agree with Reverend Yang. I don't think we should get rid of our presbytery. I think New York City is very diverse, very different from anything that we would want to be melted into. I do believe that because of our size in terms of Manhattan, Brooklyn, the Bronx, Staten Island, and Queens, that it might help us if we compartmentalize that a little more in regards to communication. So if we had one commissioner that was responsible for each of the boroughs and getting the information out to each of the boroughs, I think that we would be at least beginning to work towards relationship. And I think we should find some people who have hope and expectation that this can be done. I know some people are tired and have been doing it for many, many years, but if we find the people who have a real passion for it, I believe passion is contagious. So if those people with passion for the work of bringing this presbytery together can get out into the boroughs and build up that communication, I think we would be on our way to seeing something different. Yes, let's shake it up, but let's not give our presbytery away into other hands that may not even understand a place like New York City. Thank you.
Thank you, Charmaine Messiah. Justina?
Yeah, couple of things that strike me. One of them is, and I'm going to give them in reverse order. In terms of this dismantling our current presbytery and then trying to send out, diffuse to other and hook us up to other presbyteries. I think the fundamental issue is the Presbyterian churches are all functioning within New York City. The churches are part of and have similar concerns. So when we do mission outreach, when we are concerned about things that are happening in New York, we are talking about New York. So I think there's a lot of reasons why you have a presbytery that is geographical and arranged. So as far as I'm concerned, I mean, we may have problems, but the underlying thing is our problems, homelessness, excuse the noise outside, but homelessness and hunger and when COVID, all of that was really fundamentally happening within this city and having to deal with the city structures, with the mayors and the politics and all that kind of stuff. The other thing that concerns me when we talk about ethnicity and race and whatever, I think that one of the things that's concerning is that we are a city that's changing and our congregations are changing. We are getting more fellowships and people of color coming into New York and setting up worship in communities. And at the same time, I know in my church, we are a lot of us are aging out. Let me put it that way. A lot of our white constituents are beginning to age out, and we, I think, as a denomination, come up a little short in terms of our outreach to get people into our churches, because you don't join our presbytery. People join our churches, and our churches then function within this body called a presbytery, and how we relate to the congregation. I've served on nomination committees. How we get people to, even as they sit in their pews, understanding the concept of a presbytery.
Justina, thank you.
Okay,
Justina, thank you for your comments. Someone raised the point that I was going to make. Everybody, we are dealing with restructuring tonight.
I understand that.
No, I'm not. It's not about you. It's just everybody. Just want to make sure that everybody understands that the question of that restructuring, whether it works or not, or something like that, we're going to take those points and make sure that we gather our thoughts on the reason for the meeting tonight. We are trying to raise questions on the report, on what have been said, on the purpose of the meeting, so that we can actually be on point. More discussion will be had, I am sure, in the future about any of those concerns regarding whatever issue we might have. It is not an issue of dissolution, it's an issue of restructuring. Whether the solution might be something that might happen eventually. But let's just focus on what we're trying to do. Is there any other questions? Raise hands.
Mr. Moderator-elect, we have Reverend Dr. Flora Wilson-Bridges' hand raised.
Dr. Flora Wilson-Bridges.
Mr. Moderator, I'm at pastoring Rendell Memorial Presbyterian Church in Harlem. And I was excited to come to this meeting because I thought we were going to talk about restructuring. I think that is exciting. And I tend to be one of those passionate people that was mentioned, and I'm passionate about change. I don't think doing away with what is necessarily a bad thing if we come up with something better for the 21st century. And I was hoping that that's what was going to happen, that we were going to talk about restructuring.
Yes, you're right, Reverend Dr. Flora Wilson. That's exactly the point. Thank you for that. Any other hands?
Mr. Moderator-elect, I see a hand raised from Elder Jacinth Hansen and Elder Gladys Ortiz. Also reminding you that we are scheduled for breakout room discussions in 3 minutes.
And I just want to remind anybody who's going to be raising their hands, those two members, we are going to follow the schedule.
Okay.
Please.
Elder Hansen.
I'll be really quick.
Thank you.
For me, what I'd like for us to be talking about are really two things. What do we need to function as a presbytery? Not what we would like to have, not what we used to have, but what do we truly need? And the second thing is, what do we need in New York City as a presbytery of Presbyterian people in 2024? That's
Thank you. Thank you. Gladys?
Hi, hi Presbytery, hi moderator, Reverend Rivera, how are you? Yes, I was very excited also to be here in this meeting today. When I read the report and the data about restructuring and changes, well, honestly, there's a lot of people that oppose to changes. It's a lot of people to oppose to changes because sometimes people are not ready to change. But looking at the data, when I came to this presbytery, there was 119 churches. Now in this data, we have 88 churches. 45 of those churches don't have installed pastors. So we need the presbytery more than ever to support those churches that don't have installed pastors. So restructuring, I think, is the right way. I think that we need to restructure every once and then, every 5 years, every 10 years, as necessary. We need to restructure the same way that we restructure our churches in our local churches. At one time, we had 8 people in the session. Then we changed to 6. Now we have 4 because our churches are smaller. So there is a need for restructuring. So I totally agree with this meeting, and I thank you and Dr. Newberg, Mary Newberg, for taking the initiative, and also the consultant that worked so hard for us to see the restructuring as a fact.
Thank you, Elder Gladys Ortiz. Mr. State Clerk.
Yes, sir.
We have come to the point of the breakout room. How do we do this?
Well, we have already identified the facilitators in each one of the breakout rooms, and our tech team will simply randomly place people into the breakout rooms. When you see at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you will breakout room. You just click on that and you will be placed into that breakout room. I believe there are 10 breakout rooms and no more than 10 people should be in each room. Well, even less than that, because I'm showing 95 participants on the screen, and if you take out the staff, it's less than that. So probably 8 or 9 persons will be in each one of the breakout rooms. So if the tech team would start placing folks into the breakout rooms.
Mr.
They're all in the breakout rooms. Yes, sir. They're ready. They're ready to go as soon as you say go. that people have moved around a little bit, so most of them will have between 8 and 10 people in the rooms, but they're all ready to go with the facilitators.
Mr. Moderator-elect, if I may, we have 2 hands raised. Do you want to acknowledge them, or are we going straight to the breakout rooms?
We're going to the breakout room, and those hands can actually be, can we take them later?
We don't know what we're going to be discussing. This is Brenda Berkman.
Okay, fine. Okay, fantastic. Okay, good point.
So could somebody explain, how the process is going to work, please?
All right. The breakout room, the idea of the breakout room is for us to take some of the comments that have been said, some of the questions that have been raised, some of the issues that were in the report that we're supposed to have read the report, and actually raise questions on those questions, comments tonight, on the report, on the questions and the comments that you have said, and then maybe take some notes. Maybe you can appoint a leader, I think, a group leader, and then from there, come back to us, back to the group, and after that, we can sort of highlights whatever each group think what's more important or highlighted, or what you think would be necessary for us to follow through on the next steps. What will be the next steps based on the questions and the comments and the reports that were sent in the packet and the comments that were done today?
Mr. Moderator, if I could give a little further information. If in your breakout rooms, the proposal for restructuring, the report that was tabled back in March meeting and further sent out in the packet that you received this week. If you concentrate in those areas, that will be very helpful.
Thank you. I hope that clarifies a little bit. If not, let's go to the breakout room.
So Mr. Moderator-elect, so that everyone is clear.
Yes.
So today is Wednesday, right? So you folks, everyone received an email with an invitation to this meeting. Additionally, you received material for this meeting, I want to say on Tuesday. On Tuesday, you received material for this meeting. Additionally, yesterday, you received a revised docket and one additional report from Justice Ministry Committee. And that is what is being discussed in your breakout rooms. Those 2 documents, the results from committees, and not all committees submitted, but some committees submitted their thoughts and ideas on the restructuring proposal that was presented at our last Presbytery meeting. In addition to committees that submitted reports, individuals submitted reports. That was sent to everyone in an email on Tuesday of this week. Yesterday, you received an additional report from the Justice Ministry Committee, and that is what will be discussed in the breakout rooms this evening.
Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Iset. Yeah. Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Iset. I think we're ready. Are we ready?
We are ready. Each group does have a pre-assigned facilitator / leader, and they all know who they are. So we should be fine. And if you're good with it, I'll open all the rooms now.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Thank you. Sure.
Everyone should see a prompt on their screen now and they'll click to join the room. I did not assign any of the Presbytery folks or our guest, Molly Castile. So you'll remain in the big room unless you want to move. And I see most of for everyone to know. Oh, I had assigned James. Maybe James doesn't want to join. Should I move James C out?
James C should be out of the room.
Okay. He can
Thank
stay
you.
out of the room then. That's fine.
He can stay out,
Let's
yes.
see. I'm looking through the rooms. It looks like the only other folks that aren't in the room is Mary Newbern Williams, Matt O'Connell, Molly Castile, Warren McNeil, Izette Swavey Lipton. Agnes Pilgrim has not yet joined her room. Christopher Smith has not joined. Jose Maria has not joined. James is not going to join. So just those three have not as yet joined. And it looks like they have their cameras off and they're muted, so they must have stepped away.
The two people entered the waiting room.
Yes, I see Agnes Pilgrim in the waiting room. I'm going to click her back in.
I'm sorry, this is Charmaine. I got kicked off. Can somebody put me in a room?
Sure, just a moment. Oh, you want to be in a room, Charmaine? Okay, sure. Hold on.
Yes,
Give us a second.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me give you one of the smaller rooms.
And we now have Agnes Pilgrim back.
Okay, okay, here we go. I'm gonna assign Agnes Pilgrim. I'm gonna put her before, but
I moved her to a different room so it would refresh.
Okay.
And Jose Maria.
Jose Maria is assigned to Genevieve Stout's room. He just hasn't joined.
Okay.
And Jacinth.
Hi, I got kicked out of my room. Sorry, so I need to be.
Do you know which one you were in?
I think Nadelka.
Okay. I will put you back in that one.
Thank you.
Y'all, it was a real lovely time to be with you again. Looking forward to future conversations if those are necessary. Appreciate all that you're doing and know that you are being prayed for by every one of us on the facilitator team. We all really enjoyed the time we got to spend with the presbytery, and we are very hopeful for your future, even though hard things need to be said.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
you,
so much,
Molly.
Molly.
Molly, thank you. Great to see you.
God
Good to
bless
see
you.
you.
And
God bless.
thank you again.
Elder Maria, are you here with us? Jose Maria? He's having technical issues on his side, Jose Maria.
Okay.
Hello, Dolores. Were you in a room?
No, I'm not, and I'd like to be assigned to a room, please.
Okay, I will put you in a room.
Thank you.
There you go.
I labeled all the rooms by the name of the facilitator so that people will be able to easily identify where to go if they don't know if they get dropped or if you guys want to drop into one of the rooms, you should be able to see, tell which one you're in.
My name is not on the unassigned list, and I was looking to make sure it wasn't assigned.
Oh, hold on. Sorry. Jose is saying in chat that they can't find the button to click. If at the bottom of your screen you should have a bar with a bunch of options, you might need to click more and then click breakout room. And I believe it will ask if you would like to join it because you're already assigned to a room.
Okay, Dolores looks like she's having some difficulty getting to.
Okay, sorry about that, Mary. It's saying I see you as unassigned, so I could put you in a room if you have one you want to be in.
No, I'm not going to be in assigned. I may visit a couple of them, but no, I'm not assigned.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not seeking to be assigned.
We're still having a little trouble getting Dolores into a room. Dolores, let's see if we can get you into a room there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And now we have Yuta.
Okay. Get her in there. Yeah, that's what happens when you have 100 people. People pop in and out. And
I was just writing a note from a breakout room to say that I have to leave, unfortunately. But
oh, okay.
try to catch up. I'll read everything and be better next time.
Okay.
Productive rest of the meeting.
Now,
Thank
Dolores.
Thank you, Yuda.
Yes.
Good to see you.
The same. Thank you.
And Dolores is back out again, so I don't know what's happening with Dolores. So let's see if we can get you back in.
Oh, can you see me? Can't see me?
Dolores never moved into the room. She's assigned to a room, but it's in.
Dolores, you should. Yeah, go ahead, Evan. Sorry.
It should either it will pop up on your screen asking if you would like to move to the room, or you will also need to look at the bottom of your screen and click on probably on more, and select breakout room, and then it will confirm moving you. I'm going to move you again so that hopefully it pops up.
Okay.
Let's see. Move to that one. So if something pops up, click yes. Okay, Jose is not seeing a link for breakout rooms. Okay, Jose, I will also move you because that did seem to work. If something pops up on your screen, say yes, because that will be how you enter the room.
He's gone.
There we go. That worked.
Praise God for whom all blessings flow.
Okay.
Evan, you're a rock star.
It's unfortunate that it's different for host and non-host because I can try and say where I think it is, but I don't know where it is because I'm always host or co-host in meetings.
Like, well, you're the host now, so you took over the host. I'm the co-host, even though I created the breakouts.
Yes, I took it over when I joined the meeting at 6:30.
Yeah.
Because breakout rooms, it doesn't matter if they're host or co-host. Any of us can.
No, I understand. Yeah. So the stout room only has 6 people in it now, so people are going to go in and out. There's just nothing we can do about it. And we'll let this run till 7:30 or till about 7:35, since we started a couple minutes late.
I would suggest we let it go to 7:35. I would like to end by 8 o'clock, but I'll be
may not.
I will flow with the Holy Spirit as we are moving.
I love
now, is there a timer to let the room know that they have like 5 more minutes or whatever?
It's a 60-second time countdown.
That's it?
There should be a broadcast option. Yes.
Yeah, we can broadcast and tell them.
So we can tell them manually there's 5 minutes left.
Well, at the 5-minute point, yeah.
And then at the 4-minute mark, close the room because it gives them 60 seconds.
There's usually a sign that comes up, a message comes up and says breakout room, something like that, ending in 60 seconds, like you just said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll give a broadcast of 5 minutes and just tell them you have 5 more minutes. Please wrap it up. And then, like Evan says, at 7:34, we'll close the room, and then they have 60 seconds to wrap it up, and then they're automatically brought back to the main meeting.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Very fine. Thank you. Good.
Whew.
Well, we had quite a few people who really did want to speak. And
indeed,
at one point,
before we keep going, I just want to mention that this room is the main room is still live on YouTube. Just letting people know. I can stop that if we want it to, but it is live. So
yeah.
So if you stop it, can you restart it again?
It will be a second broadcast. It won't be the same broadcast. The other potential solution, if we want this room to be more private, is I could go into my own breakout room, and then that will keep the recording going, but people can speak without.
Also, Evan, a heads
live.
up: Noel Ellison is in the waiting room, so if I let him in, I'm assuming he's going to be assigned to a room.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let him in now.
Yeah, sure.
In there.
Yeah, that's why I was being very quiet because I knew we were still. I could see that we were on my phone.
That's funny.
Hello, Noel. Were you in a room previously?
You're muted.
You're muted, Noel.
No, I started off, but I had to jump off for another meeting that just ended.
Okay, then we will just put you into a room.
Okay.
I will put you in Stout because that has the fewest people.
Okay.
So it should have popped up on your screen asking you to join.
I think just stopping the live stream and we'll just have two. It's not the end of the world.
Okay, we will do that then.
There's only one